shall fear no evil, for you are with me. With rod and staff you comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The psalmist asks, O God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain? And surely he gives his word, and come what may, does not retract, does not exploit others, never takes bribes. One who lives in this way shall never be forsaken. We, the creatures of dust, whose destiny is but to return to the dust from which we came. The ancient sage has taught us, the spirit of the human being, the lamp of the Lord. Not even the darkness of death can extinguish the light which the Eternal has kindled in the sanctuary of the human soul. Therefore, Lord, we thank thee in this solemn hour for that which was deathless in the life of our cherished Herman, which is now revealed to us in all of its beauty, for his love that united us in life, and which death cannot sever, for his companionship which we shared along life's path, and which still continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of his heart and of his mind, which brought us joy and happiness, and now have become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all these and more, we give thee our praise. In his personal life and in his professional life, Dr. Herman Hellerstein built upon the love and the knowledge of the generations before him, transforming them in a majestic way for the generations to follow. Born in the small coal-mining town of Dillonville, Ohio, to Russian immigrant parents Samuel and Cecilia, Herman knew meager beginnings. He worked in his father's general store. Later he would sell shoes. He was proud to say that he was an ethical shoe salesman. He never sold a shoe which did not fit properly. His siblings, Rebecca and Esther of blessed memory, and Velma and Earl, be his lifelong friends. His sisters were his teachers. With them he read the book of knowledge from cover to cover on a rainy day. And Velma would tease him that what his children affectionately called his tall Dillonville stories were really her own. With Earl, he would run down the aisle of the first talking movie looking for the voices. They would engage in heated debate. It was a close family that nurtured him to create his own family. Shortly after graduating from Attleboro College of Western Reserve University and earning his MD from Reserve School of Medicine, Herman would meet his soulmate, Mary File Hellerstein. He was on military leave from the 7th Armored Division, 40th Tank Battalion, in which he was a captain serving under General Patton. A decorated soldier, he helped to liberate the German concentration camp from Bergen-Belsen. He would write to Mary telling her of the profound impact this experience had on him. Indeed, in his best Yiddish, learned at the workman's circle as a child, Herman would ask the people he was helping to rescue why they were there, why in the camp. And to listen to the response that sometimes it was merely because their grandmother was half Jewish. His religious understanding and commitment took form. Cultural and political Zionist, the home he and Mary would establish together was unmistakably Jewish, even if Herman was not what he would call religious. Often, however, he accompanied Mary into this great sanctuary. helping your father with his scientific research. Growing up, you did not have normal pets, you had lab mice. Your father might assist you in developing experiments for science projects with the mice, or you might help your father study some phenomena in them. Sometimes you were the guinea pig. He made you run on the fitness machines and tested each of your breaths. He enjoyed your company on many of his research collecting projects as well, and often you played an important role in helping him. Jonathan, you lived out every young boy's dream, as you would ride on the fire engines and in ambulances, taking EKGs of the emergency workers and the victims. David, joining his father, measured the stress of parachute jumpers as they landed. Here you said you learned about the fragility of life, which would later inspire your work. Your father was a man who, though committed to science, did not stay in his small laboratory. Studying stress, seeing that he experienced vicariously every profession from factory worker and farmer to orchestra conductor and pilot. And you learned through your own experiments and provoking your father. He was not quick-tempered at all. He showed you great patience as he inquired about what consequences you thought some of your answers might yield. He had a wonderful sense of humor. Affectionately, your dad referred to you, Catherine, and Susan and Beth as DDD number 1, number 2, and number 3. That stood for Dear Darling Daughter, of course. And indeed, he thought of each of you in this way. Catherine shared a deep love for the Yiddish language of his childhood. He was constantly arranging speaking engagements for you in the area so that you would come to visit. You remember the most fondly the family bicycle rides every Sunday with your father at the head of the line and your mother bringing up his tail. You would ride your little two-wheeler, and your dad would tie to his bike to pull you along. You were also the family vacations, which often required 2 cars and a myriad of signs to communicate between the 2 of them. So Beth, the vision of your father at Susie's graduation will be a memory that will shape your life. It was just a short while ago, but you, the newlywed of the gang, said that your parents looked like newlyweds. The way that your father was holding hands with your mother, they went on walks in the beautiful countryside together. All of you have had models for you and your parents, that special relationship which the Jewish wedding blessing referred to as the Imam loving friends. For yourself, David, Lisa, Peggy, Karen, John, and Dan, it is their blessing too that
college. I served as an associate director from 1953 to 1956, and then to begin my own research work in coronary physiology and application reserve, and to become a staff member of the Division of Cardiology at the hospital as a junior colleague of Dr. Sarah File, Dr. Walter Pritchard, and Dr. Murray. From those times on, I became not only a younger colleague of Herman, but more important, a friend that remains with us this day, 40 years later. Herman was always interested in basic science, but his most significant work of such efforts was the exercise regimen. From the mid-1950s and on, his work with physical and psychological problems of heart attack played a significant role in the evolution of the present early recovery and rehabilitation of such patients. He wrote widely, and the success of these efforts were recognized in Congress both nationally and abroad. Subsequently, he traveled throughout the world and promoting the need of rehabilitation of post-heart attack patients, and contributed to literature to the subject by numerous scientific articles and eventually several important books. However, he had a somewhat hidden view of the claims of the enthusiasts for exercise alone as a major component of the lifestyle to reduce heart attack risk. Although he conceded that the benefit of exercise with respect to primary prevention of coronary heart disease, he was of the mind that it was the associated lifestyle, particularly with respect to diet and discontinuance of smoking, that was the more important. He gently treated me when I personally fell prey to the cardiovascular outbreaks of running enthusiasm of the 1970s and 1980s. This reflected his science point. He despised medical care speculation and demanded hard scientific data to justify any intervention that were alleged to be a benefit in health maintenance and public care. However, with respect to my learning, he never figured it out to be where I am today. Herman was an enthusiastic, demanding teacher both of medical students, medical resident staff, and research colleagues. He frequently argued that win or lose, we always learn something from process. His professional career should meet in the breadth and the importance of healthcare teaching. We mourn his death, but we celebrate his life and his talent. Certainly will never be forgotten at the University Hospital and School of Medicine at Case Western Reserve University, nor by us, or by any other of the numerous colleagues and former students. Many of them are here today.
Dr. Hellerstein's children, Catherine, poet, and David, psychiatrist, helped us learn to live. Humane and decent, menschlich, humorous, clear-sighted, rigorous. You spoke the truth as you perceived it. Usually you were right, a prophet in the well-mannered wilderness. With words you changed your world. You healed sick hearts. You tended hope like young tomato shoots in the sunny patch that you and Mary planted. And look, the fruit. 6 kids, 10 grandchildren, your books, talks, articles are known and used. Your mother used to ask, "What have you done lately for humanity?" I see your testimony to the love and work of humankind as your fine legacy. The second part is called Becky, expressing grief and a sense of loss. And oh, my Father, in these last dark days, you've lost your word, and now we have lost you. I stand here in the Jewish way of grief, strong in the face of crisis, and in respect for you, the dead. I've watched you breathe, and then there was no threat. An instant, you were gone. The silence begged to hear your voice again. I want to think there is a world to come where I might hear your voice. I'll always hear in memory you quote your mother's words, "Zu leiden ist zu leben, und zu leben ist zu leiden. To live is to suffer, and to suffer is to live." You always used to translate in reverse and emphasize the living. We shall not forget you, Dad. With all our love, Olev HaSholem, may you rest in peace.
Once, when I was about 10 years old, my father woke me in the middle of the night. "It's time," he said. "Time for what?" I asked. "Time to go to a new world," he said. I sat bolt upright in bed. He said, "Get up. Get out of bed." I followed him around the second floor as he bid me to, saying silent goodbyes to each of the sleeping family members. To Mom, to Catherine, Jonathan, Daniel, to Susan, and to baby Elizabeth. Then I followed him downstairs. He whispered to me, the world was about to explode. He had built a rocket ship in the basement to travel to a new world. There was only room for me, he said. "Why?" I asked. "Why me?" I had 1,000 questions. "Shocked," he said. We stood in silence. For endless moments, we stood there in the darkness, listening to the cicadas calling in the Ohio summer night. Why were we going to the basement, I wondered, full of both dread and strange glee at the thought about what was about to happen. But nothing happened. After an eternity, Dad turned to me. "No," he said, "not tonight. 1,000 ways, Herman Hellerstein was a remarkable father. Like in his hospital work and research projects, his fathering did not follow a conventional path. Instead, it was guided by his intellect, his heart, and his imagination. He had a fierce love of life, a sense of the holiness and the incredible fragility of life, and an intense rage against death, the enemy. And so, in recent years, he struggled greatly as his illness progressed. For month after month, he outwitted death. But finally, everything had been tried. In contrast to that night so many years ago, finally it was time. As Jews, we do not believe as such in an afterlife. We believe people live in the lives they have affected, in their words and in their deeds. Herman Hellerstein wrote many thousands of words, and he touched millions of lives. But if there were an afterlife, I could imagine him now, full of boundless energy and imagination, ready for a bold new experiment, ready to explore another new world.
Catch you later, I wouldn't admit it.
He lives in the Boston area. He came in with his wife and I think their 2 children. And then he came back to the last.
Some other person where they go out. It's in the land of Israel, in the Holy Land. So he arrested goes up and down the country.
Where are you right now?
Finally, he's taking him up to the chance of the shrine of the book. You know, where they have the Dead Sea Scrolls. And
Are you reading computer?
Drinking pink lemonade. Dude, you should get the picture. Why don't you turn the camera on
he
you?
ended up, I mean, they didn't know he was Christian. I mean, you know, they sort of invite, they pick up everybody at the Wailing Wall. Yeah, this is true. I mean, they go up to everybody at the Wailing Wall, I guess.
Native mayors.
Yeah, they hit the dorms. I mean, they're very...
Shut out the lights and lock the door.
I mean, they're funded.
How are you?
I mean, that goes these guys to religion. They find places for people to eat.
I was able to hear about
I
it.
gave up. I vowed.
Then again, the largest one, Newark, is myself.
Next time you approach it,
Newark, it's not much better.
What happens about
It's a lot worse. I'd say New York is better.
I think he realized.
Oh, you mean you earned it?
Yeah, Newark. Haven't been able to go.
The real estate that sort of died. That's what I would like.
Here's some tuna
It's just a little.
We are professional.
Jessica has her new baby.
Well, her new baby cousin.
Oh, just fine. Look, he's doing very well, too. Good, good. You know how to...
Excuse me, Ed.
interesting is that when everybody sitting down
Do we even know?
There's, like I told you,
Tell them what your
this
name
is
is.
just the start of it. I was going to tell you, I have a very good friend.
You like that?
I don't know. Ask my mom.
You know where the sink is? Sink.
No, but the languages will be secondary area. And she will be spending probably next summer and possibly at least a semester again over someplace, maybe either in Israel or Cairo.
Very good.
It looks like we did.
Are you a statue?
That's not how real kids act. They don't stand.
Judy and Bob.
You want to dance?
Somebody's time.
Oh, no, look, it's the camera. Say hi. Goodbye. Nice to see you. Thanks. Goodbye, Beth. Excuse me. Not now.
Don't get up. You ever seen them? Oh, yes. Who are you? You're a Ben.
Where she is. Now, can you say something nice? Say something nice.
You want to go play?
Yeah, you want to go play?
Where do you want to play?
Dinosaurs.
Where? With dinosaurs? You sure?
Cheese.
Smart kid. Do you want to wave?
What kind of cheese? Monster cheese? Can you wave from that?
No. Okay. All right.
Oh.
Okay.
Going in the car.
We're going to go in the car right now.
And take a nappy?
Yeah, let's go.
The show almost over?
Yeah, we're gonna take this particular actress.
I'm the artist, the family artist that Herm calls all the time to do. Every time a girl's pregnant in the family, I am asked to do artwork. Herm calls me all the time to let me know who's pregnant. And there's a piece right in there with Andrew. Little baby Andrew.
That's wonderful. Is that acrylic too?
That is acrylic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm having nerves.
Joni, you know what? Barbara has a little boy just your
I was going to
size.
bring him, but I was afraid he'd be a holy. Well, actually, he's so babysitter. I think I'll be pretty much. Your dad took some pictures of my son when we went to the house, but probably. Actually, it was last winter. He sent them to me. They were so cute.
Should I get you out, sweetie? You little sleepyhead? You want to take
Your uncle. I will see you I hope I'll see you before I leave. I might just split because I gotta get
Well,
my...
or come back. I mean, I'll be
Oh, you'll be here till 2? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I promise.
that would be great. I'm really glad you introduced yourself.
Thank you.
Gracious, are you a sleepyhead?
Okay.
Whoa, a guillotine. Oh, do you need a dry bottom, pumpkin? Sad day, but a lot of happy things,
Yeah.
huh? Bag lady. My friend Carol gives me.
And then you have a sleepy fellow there.
Huh?
You have a sleeping fellow there.
A sleeping fellow. See if I can get him inside and in someplace to lie down. Ah.
Mama.
Hi, Angel.
Oh,
Look at your beautiful new polka dot dress. I heard there was a Nell doll that's missing. You're taking it out. Anybody seen Zoe?
Little mermaid.
Have you seen Zoe doll? Zoe doll?
Could you help?
What? What color are these guys?
A good jelly. Black and white.
Black with white spots?
No.
White with black spots? What's the big one's name?
Well, this one's Congo and this one's Purdy.
Purdy and Congo? Where's Pogo? Is it Pogo in there?
What?
The little guy? One of the puppies? Isn't one of the puppies named Pogo? No? Just Pongo and Purdy? It's Cruella. She's an awful lady, isn't she? Did she kidnap all the dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, they disguise themselves. Sorry, under these circumstances.
Yeah.
They got rescued by the man and his girlfriend.
Great. That's shipping trash.
And it's a waste of money. That's a nice smile. Do you have one of those? Oh, that's lovely.
There's a nice
That's lovely. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, hurry, hurry.
She has her PhD and she's working. And still
Started because you just can't do it. You can't do it. It's too hard. At least for me, it is. Especially I want to be able to go home and turn people off and know that I can.
There may be a time in 15 years when you feel like you can go into that'll be a totally different phase in your life. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like now it's totally
Maybe.
practical.
But you know what?
Where'd it go?
You got it. Thank you. Oh, you keep it.
All right, here we go.
That one of his obstetrical log, which he kept a record of like 1,000 deliveries that he did each at 75 and by 1900.
I think that is lovely.
Yeah, and letters.
How did you get that?
Everything's in the attic here. My mother never.
Never do anything. Donald keeps throwing my things away, but you kept everything.
Well,
Mary kept
my mother had, like you say, well, I think in second grade I was in a Cub Scout thing. Oh yeah, I have that in a little package upstairs. But this is
Breast milk. He said I had to have 2 bottles.
So I think this was
Smile.
Yes,
Right?
Yeah, on demand. Smile on demand.
No.
No, no. Yes. Oh, there's
Say hi to the camera.
It's another uncle. Come on. Hi. Oh, boy.
That's a good
Wow.
Oh, see the
Fancy
lights?
contraption. It's a maze. This is it. This is going to change his life.
I know.
You want nursing him.
I know I can't hold him the other direction, otherwise he'll start sniffing.
So you were at the thing this morning?
Yes. It's noon, and it was a fine service.
It certainly was.
It was.
Participation of the family.
Yeah, they were delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Oh, wow.
Could you add your...
Well, the hearing project, somebody had my service. And your children were marvelous.
Mommy's milk that he wants.
Here we go.
Hello, Ed, from Ellen in Chicago.
Okay.
WTTW, PBS in Chicago, Channel 11.
Okay.
It was good to see you.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Yep.
Have a good ride back.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Come to Chicago sometime. My
Okay.
phone number is 312-642-7541. I'm at 1150 North Lakeshore Drive, number 9K, Chicago 60611. This is
Okay.
an oral address.
Bye.
Leah, say hello to Uncle Ed. Where's your nose?
Where's Daddy's nose? Want to show Daddy's nose?
That's what she likes, upside down.
Upside down? Would you live upside down if you could?
Who's that? Is that Leah? Hi, Pumpkin. And upside down, bunny. And upside down, Lila. She has the cutest little girl.
So cute.
I don't know, I have some water here.
Where's your Adam's apple?
She looks just like you.
Really?
Where?
Where's your Adam's apple? Where's your collarbone? There you go. Where's your tongue? And your nose? And your ears? And your hair? Where's your elbow? Where are your elbows? There you go. Now where's your knee? Where's your knee? Touch your knee. Where? There you go. Where's your femur? Oh, that's your tibia. Okay. Now where are your toes?
Technical.
There you are, toes.
It hasn't passed anatomy yet.
No, she still has a ways to go. All right. Okay, what do you
Where's
want
your
to do?
daddy? Can you give Daddy a kiss? Oh.
Can you do a
That's
fish
great.
kiss? Fish kiss?
Where's your daddy's nose?
Beep beep.
Does it say beep beep? Oh, all daddy's noses say beep beep. Where's your daddy's Adam's apple?
We haven't seen these things for a long time.
No, we've been out. Here's another baby. Here's another baby.
Who is that? Is it a baby?
I just saw him before. Isn't he a cutie? Oh, gosh. He is. Hi, Andrew. Hi. Hi, baby.
Mommy.
Where's Mommy? This one, how come we're into stripes today?
Yeah.
He just got out of jail.
I'm sure he said Mama. Susie, he said Mama.
Who's Nana?
Oh, no, Grandma. Grandma think Grandma is. What did you say, Nana or Mama? Which?
Mama.
Yeah. You're not just big.
Well, Mike is coming, Papa.
Oh, you're leaning on Grandma's shoulder.
But Dad, yeah, I think Dad wanted Poppy slight distinction. Well, Jessica started out calling him Poppy.
Oh.
So, Nanny and Poppy. And for a while, Mom spelled Nanny and Poppy. Okay.
Oh,
They're in the
Nanny.
car today.
I guess we said Nanny and Papa.
Ring,
Call your brother Poppy.
rosy, pocket full of rosy, ashes, ashes, we all fall. You do.
Well, that's one good thing. There are a few good things.
Right. What's a good thing?
It's me,
Leah's really got to take out enough fruit.
Oh, you haven't had enough. More food? You have to put a sign on those, fat-free. She's doing December, so she's about
Very, and Beth would like yours to
She's doing it in her pregnancy.
This is
She's
part
saying
of
something about it. No, I think she's doing.
Say hi to Uncle Ed. Hello. Hi. Can you say hi? Say hi. Hi. What does the dog say? Oh, you see Anne. There's Anne. What does the doggy say?
You call your grandma Ann?
By her first name.
Boy, aren't you
Precocious one.
change that, but
She,
it was
her,
easier
fa-
to
her
say.
Karen's father.
What do you see? Pretty dark, huh?
Come on.
Hello there,
Leah.
Leah.
Leah. There goes the door.
He likes to slam doors.
Come here,
Leah.
Come here,
Oh,
sweetie.
there goes the other
Come here
door.
for a minute.
Busy closing
Close it
doors.
up. Watch your fingers. Watch your fingers.
Doesn't want any more company.
Dan, bring her over here.
That's it.
All right. It's interesting.
We're high tech now.
Jacksonville wanted to develop their waterfront so they consulted with some of the Cleveland waterfront development people. They wanted to also improve their tourism, so they used Cleveland as a model of Playhouse Square, and all these things would seem anachronistic. Why would anybody want to be using Cleveland as a model?
No, the new Society Tower.
No.
It's much bigger. Oh, there's major improvements.
It's just like Boston, only more.
Well, they don't go in for that kind of stuff in Boston.
Yeah,
They
I
build
mean,
a lot of
old Fenway
hotels.
Park, I guess they're going to build a new one.
But,
on
oh, I
baseball.
hope not. Well, where's the money going to come from?
Taxes.
We just went through it.
We're going to tax cigarettes, or we're going to tax beer.
Tax. We just went through that.
A lot of things there.
They're building a $500 million complex, a stadium, a baseball stadium, and an arena right next to it for the Cavaliers.
I would encourage everybody to drink and smoke, so we can get more.
And what's going to happen to the Browns?
They're going
to staying where they're at.
They're
And
going
they're
to
going to
continue
put
to
a
lose.
dome over the stadium?
No, they're going to continue to lose.
I don't think
Now the Indians, did you get a picture of his cast?
Oh, yeah.
Jerry likes the Indians. He's been a diehard
No
fan
matter
for
what.
40 years.
Well, I'll give you a little leg, Ed.
Testaverde will be helpful, I think. He's Bernie's best friend, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be in play. Of course, I'm an optimist, but I think they'll be in play.
Actually, the longer they go without winning the title, the greater the likelihood is that the next year will be that year. If they had just won 2 or 3 titles like Pittsburgh in a row, then you say, okay, that's it for 20
They've had it.
years. They've
That's
had
right.
it. It's been dry for 30 years since Jim Brown left.
And
I would say in another 3 centuries, it'll be competitive with Paris.
I don't know if they're even looking to be competitive.
Oh.
With Paris. There's only one Paris, right?
Well, all right. I guess in the year 1311, we went through the same folly. That we're broke, but we can somehow we're right.
Covers, cardiology.
Yeah, I know. I just
Did you take everybody?
How are you?
Watch out, Joe Navona.
You know,
Get out of the road, there's hot dogs.
Gonna be a little hectic on this.
Excuse me, can I squeeze
are you eating a banana? Curious, no.
How's that fontanelle? Nice and soft.
So, but how does that,
How's your fontanelle?
Soft.
Nice and soft.
if you moved up to...
Jonah. What are you doing?
Is that tenure
Sneaking
track?
by.
Is that tenure? Or?
There's Nellie.
No, there's probably, I think there are no, there might be a single tenure position. There is no.
A lot of work to make.
Basically. I mean, but like the security of who did the lectures in the thing is it because you're
Here we go.
Food.
By
virtue of your voice in the BCHL.
I'll do that before.
I really am.
So the faculty run BCHL, or it's part run by the faculty.
Yeah, really.
Staff level. Are there untenured professors?
And you know, as an instructor, I mean, I see patients for the Boston Children's Heart Foundation, and they become a part of my private clinic.
Right.
But I don't bill them privately. They're
Like a guy, Aldo, whatever.
She didn't like
He
that
made
they did
1.1
some
million
tests,
by seeing
certain tests she
people
thought were
privately.
unnecessary, and she thought they were kind of ripping them off.
No, that was probably salary.
So,
I'll bet.
she really wasn't.
I'll bet you.
Great salary.
Really? Well, I mean, if you think about it, the fees that he generates for these
Came
surgeries
out with the consistent.
probably amount to.
What are you doing for pictures online? What's that? Am I doing for pictures? I have some cameras.
Oh, yeah, we saved a lot.
I have,
but still,
well, you sent me the picture.
we talk about privacy.
I have,
Hello.
What do you want the picture?
I'm boiling.
Wow. That's scary.
I was in touch with Steve Ross this week about
Warner Brothers?
yeah.
About what? Interesting.
About a TV run. Oh, you caught me in that one.
Well, he could tell me he's talking with him.
Right. And it was cheaper before.
He doesn't.
I was talking to John Huston about the movie right.
See, Ross still has a lot of influence on the board. So.
just outside. She wants a Wowie. She's thirsty. Except we need to. Where's the Wowie?
Water?
I don't think your family has enough, like melodrama. You need more incest.
Well, I think that's right.
Lecture. Extra talk book. Start off with a, that's right.
I went to a student. I didn't know her. And she went around telling everybody that I was actually a prisoner. And I was also Jewish.
I always take them. I did one trial. Larry and Herman. George brother, just up here recently.
Yeah, I was here 30th.
Taking records. All our meetings for years. So you'll be on here. You'll be in. Don't say a word.
Well, you have to speak in dots and dashes.
That's right. What did you say?
He'll have to talk in dots and dashes.
Yeah.
He's an amateur radio person.
Oh, okay. Morse code.
Yeah.
All right. How about semaphore?
Well, maybe that too.
I don't know. Had to pass a semaphore test in order to get leave, I remember, and then maybe.
Okay, now go give Nanny another kiss. She needs another kiss. Quickly.
Oh, all the groundwater is moving.
Give her another kiss. Give her another kiss. Okay, give Nanny another kiss. Quickly.
Scary.
Yes, it is. And I think, this is the 11th hour, and it has to come out.
I think she needs another kiss. Are you gonna give Nanny another kiss? Okay, quickly. Quickly.
One bit of advice was the state should tell the
Let's see. No, it's not bad. Okay, come here. Let's see who's next. Where we drop it? That's not her. I got her. 5.
Hasta what? Banana. Hasta banana. Bye. Andrew, he's sleeping.
Where's my Mickey Give your daddy. See if your daddy gets a Mickey Mouse yank.
Hey Nellie, can you say goodbye to Curious George? Yeah, he's 3 months. He has to go home and get to sleep.
Good night. No,
I'm the
no.
ostrich.
No, you're the ostrich.
Yeah. He's gonna pick up his bus if I don't get him home.
Jay Warrenshop.
Why? Because I'm not one total. Why? No! Favorite thing. Hey Nellie, look at this in your book. Want to know? You want to draw in your book? Look. Oh, now you want to draw the owl? Or should we draw... Oh, look at that. Do you want to draw some flowers? I didn't want to draw that, Nellie.
Hit balls with him, Dad. Or maybe we could come down to Florida over dinner and hit balls with you.
Sure.
You must have courts at your club.
Yeah, my book, I was describing how my book is completed finally after several years of that, and it's coming out next April.
I liked your speech.
I think
I think about that.
I was trying to think of a story that...
Rocket ship for one of my siblings. Which one did I want to choose?
And that's the real question. Tell us the truth.
Ah, that's...
Who did you choose?
I plead the fifth.
I
can say no.
No, he picked David. I'm guessing he picked David.
I don't know. But that's funny. No, you know what it was? At the time, he was always reading my Superman comic books, and that was part of the Superman story. Was that Krypton blew up, and and Superman was saved by, his parents would put him in a rocket and send him to.
Or your father used to read your comic books?
Yes, constantly, yeah.
Of that Superman.
And also Mad Magazine. He said he had to read what the kids were reading.
Usually we find, like, I'd buy the comic book, like, get halfway through it.
Yeah, the Playboys, yeah, right.
Yeah, Playboy, right. And I'd find it, like, in his room, his whole pile of comics.
Really? How funny. That's great. That's really great.
I think it was also, like, being with your family and having been in concentration camps, his feeling like that you should always, you might have to move at any time. You might have to leave everything that was familiar behind. But I took it more.
You do? You really think so?
Yes, absolutely.
You want to tuck those things in the envelope?
Yes.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Unfortunately, that's been an experience of many,
Yeah. No, I think he was very affected by his experiences.
I didn't tell you, I mean,
And then there were 2 for like 5 or 10 more trees.
What is this?
You have 50 trees in
Trees.
Israel.
It's going to be that Hellerstein forest.
Are they really? Do you have like a little plaque in Israel?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like
Yeah, they
the
do,
bricks
but they're-
at the playground.
There's this movie where they have this sign up. It says the Hellerstein family forest, and the Hellerstein family comes here, sees it. As soon as they drive off, there's a guy who comes with the next sign. Where he puts up right here, there's a Stern family. They slip it in and out. There's like this little.
I thought it was like on one of those like
there's one
signs
forest.
that
The thing is that
signs with
there's
little
one
red lights
forest.
that could change, computer change.
Yeah, right,
you get into
right.
a collection of so many trees.
Well, these were given in memory of my father.
Oh, I did.
So these are
Well,
from.
it's honest. That's an excellent idea. I
These
should
just
have known
came
that.
in the last day or 2.
Yeah.
How many
See, we
trees do you think you have so far?
Well, one with 25, one with 10.
25, 10.
35 so far.
No
36, 37, 38
Right.
in Israel.
What kind of trees?
Which part of
Doesn't
it?
say. It's a little vague.
Do you think they sell the trees more than once, David?
Nobody else was thinking about it. This isn't new. This is something that, we did years and years ago, kind of thing. Or we were talking, I remember talking about the ethics of medicine and how we would talk about, somebody gave a lecture on percentages, and if you do this and you do that and you play your clinical outcomes, he says, clinical outcomes, it's sort of meaningless in terms of that individual and that person. And you can do all the clinical outcomes you want, but what do you do in that given situation? What are the realities of how you practice medicine, rather than what you do by statistics and by doing it by the book. And we always
Just tell me, is there one?
Philosophy. It's the kind of thing that Mahmoud was so really say. On that note, I think we'll end the conference because you couldn't respond to it. I mean,
No one else was around.
it was a whole pillful. The kind of thing you don't just say, well, I agree or disagree. It would generate a whole series of discussions that usually took place when everybody broke up then. You say, well, what do you think of that? And it was sort of the kind of thing that he would be involved in. But as I was saying, he had such a strength in terms of, you meet people all the time. We're constantly looking at who else is more important, and what else they have to do, or where they're going. You never had that feeling with him. I mean, he stopped and talked to you. He talked to you. There's never hurry about going anywhere, and when you were done and you were going to leave, fine. But it was always full attention to what you were discussing, and then was able to handle so many different areas of knowledge and input, and whether it be history or philosophy, psychology, medicine, just mundane things, trivial things, or deep philosophic things.
My kids said that he would listen to him.
Yeah. But you see him 11 o'clock at night. You see him. I remember he had his heart attack, and he had chest pains. Well, I got to finish making rounds, and he finished his round. I remember. I remember he said he knew that something was wrong, but he had about 5 patients to see. He went and saw them, and they went down to the emergency room. He said, "I think I'm having a heart attack." And sure enough, remember he had the angioplasty at that time, or the surgery. But that was him. It was a kind of very, this is the way I'm going to play it, and this is what I have to do and get done. Very soft human being, just.
You know, he could say more by not saying anything. He just sort of look at it, you know, quizzically, you know, give a nod or a question, and you knew that he was thinking a million things and reacting to a million things.
He wanted to, he just said, it's too bad you can't transplant the brain and, you know, go on from there.
Right.
You know, too bad you got to start all over again.
Are we sure he didn't succeed?
Partial transplant.
On number 6.
No, he used to say that. He said, I just have to figure out how to transplant my brain into your body and I can live another 70, 80 years.
Well, he would say it seriously, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he would say it as a kind of...
on that. And David said, well, you're sitting over the couch
Yeah.
minutes ago, what would have happened to my brain?
Did he say it to his dad then, though?
No, not at all.
Only now. He can
You know
do
that cat that hangs out on the step?
That one has David's brain.
But how we did all the things he did, I remember he would come in and tell me that he'd be making rounds at 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. He was supposed to be in Los Angeles that afternoon lecturing, and he would be getting an 11 o'clock flight or 12 o'clock flight. And then he'd be back the next morning at 7 o'clock making rounds. You know, he'd take the night flight. And he looked as well alert the next morning as I looked, you know, after 14 hours sleep. He would just, he loved that tumult, you know, the participating in the, you never saw his office, you know, you never knew where anything was. I mean, you walk in, you wonder how he put anything together. And still, you know, getting slides, like, you never looked like it was harried. Never looked like, oh God, you know, I'll never get done. It was, you know,
Hey, Joe.
got it done. Who were the people that you remember that he was close to, you know, 20, 30 years ago at the hospital?
Well, he and Austin Weisberg
Were close,
very
yeah.
close. He's been gone since 1970.
Was it 70 that he died?
He was about 50 years old. That's all.
Yeah, he was 53.
And
The Oscar Ratnoff was his era.
he came a little later, I think, but let's see, when did I asked Oscar when he came, I think. Might have been around that time. He was first at Mount Sinai.
Mm-hmm.
And came over. Definitely by June, because it's really.
Because it's interesting, I remember seeing him come out of the garage one day, and he didn't have a tie on. I think it's the first time I've ever seen him in my life that he wasn't wearing a tie. He must have been when he was going for therapy or treatment, and I should have picked up that something was wrong, and I didn't. It was funny, because usually he had that bounce, and he'd be, you know, determined. He was sort of just walking a little sort of slowly, and you know, obviously deep in thought about a million things. And it wasn't too soon before, you know, he came in the hospital, actually. Yeah.
Let's see, who was there in 1970? That's when you came?
I came in 62. Like if Paul Vigneault was a good friend of his. And, I'm trying to think of
Harvey
that.
Dworkin. What was it?
Harvey Dworkin.
Oh, yeah,
How about Goldblatt or whatever?
He was
David
before
Goldblatt?
Harry Goldblatt.
Harry
I think it was
Goldblatt.
before
Yeah,
him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But did you know Jesse Edwards was at the Mayo Clinic, and he was a cardiac pathologist who also used to say, you know, that he knew Herm well. And,
Also, Henry Blackburn.
Yeah. Well, he had lots of friends
bless him.
outside the.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Diamond.
Sure, sure.
Burn dryer.
Right. No, well, he was one of the few people at this institution who really had the instantaneous international recognition. There's just no question about it in terms of what prestige he brought, to the school in terms of what he had done.
He must have been devoted to stay here all these years.
Well, he was thinking. In fact, he once thought about going out to San Diego.
La Jolla, wasn't it?
La Jolla.
And why didn't he do that yet?
This is where we would be right now.
Yeah, we've been lying.
We'd rather be here. Why didn't we?
I think it was for consideration for his kids.
No, I didn't want to move. I was like, how old was I, 10?
Do you remember Shumway?
Sure.
They lived down the street.
Yeah.
Kathy was very close to Priscilla Shumway, very good friend.
I made a big fuss about the idea of moving to California.
I thought it was great.
But you didn't want to move either. You didn't want to move. I don't think I was the come on. 9-year-old daughter is going to make you make up. Yeah, that was fine. That was fine. I mean, to turn down the best career offer of your life, I don't...
That happens. Well, it certainly happens now, Kathy.
He had some
I think
misgivings.
when I was chairing the search committee for radiology, for example, it's amazing how many people said, I can't really think about moving. My daughter's a sophomore in high school, my son's got his senior year, or, it would devastate the family to do this, and I'm just not going to move for the next 3 years. Maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago, people were less likely to do it.
No, but that's different.
Wait, they told you that before you made the offer or after you made the offer?
Before they would even consider the offer. They would say, Dr. Moss, because I really would it's a great place, and I know it, but right now I just don't feel I can look at any place.
But certainly there were times when it was...
You'd be wasting your time. I just don't feel like I can.
Oh yeah, no, that's serious.
Yeah. Well, we just hired someone at Penn who put off coming to Penn for a year so his kid could finish the senior year in high school.
Right, but it's also like, I think the most common excuse, you make an offer, somebody says, you go through the whole search, the guy...
It's a polite way of saying no.
And then, and then you make the offer, and then he says, either his wife decides, she steps in, my wife put her foot down, I can't.
Well, that happens. Well, that
no, it does happen, but I think it's also the most
San
common...
Francisco and Boston, or, where the wives don't want to, or the husbands don't want to. I had one, we were looking at affirmative action, and I called up this black radiologist at Penn, as a matter of fact. And she got a kick out. She says, I'm sort of the one they always call. Because and I'm the highest ranking one nationally, and her husband was a dentist. And he said, he can't leave his practice, so I really, can't afford to look, because I'm not going to ask him to do that. So they did get it. But going back to whether Herman moved now, we used to talk about this, and in a way he used to say that he was more coveted outside of reserve than he was at reserve. That the experts demand from out of town, the person from out of town. And we were talking about this because in a way I did the same thing, where I would be going out and speaking or writing, and he didn't get involved in the local politics, so he didn't care about what was happening here. He could live here and use this as his base. He didn't need to move. He would be doing the same thing, I think, whether he lived in San Diego or whether he lived in Boston. He would still be in Bangkok lecturing, or China, or England, or France, where, it didn't matter to him. He was writing his books, he was doing his research, he had his lab. He really didn't need to...
Mom, was the position at La Jolla, wasn't that more administrative?
It's like chief of cardiology.
The university that was connected with it was just getting started. There were lots of politics. There was a lot of...
He would have started the department. He would have hired everyone.
I'm not sure, but...
How long ago was it? This is when you were 10. Okay, you don't have to tell us exactly.
10 years old, 55 years ago.
We all know how old everybody is. We got that all figured out.
Then he looked at something in New York once, in the city. I forgot one hospital. But,
I bet you had an offer more recently, UCLA or someplace like, maybe not.
Well, if we would have been speaking with a different accent, we would have gone to New York, right?
let's see, what else were we looking
I'm
at?
trying to imagine our family living in
You
Manhattan.
a Yankee fan?
At 10.
Well, David lives in Manhattan, doesn't he?
Pardon?
Isn't David
He
in
just moved
Manhattan?
outside.
What?
He used to live there, but he's in Larchmont.
Where's he now?
Larchmont?
Oh, okay. Yeah, right outside the city. Is he still doing psychiatry then?
Yeah.
And writing?
The book will be out in spring, called The Family of Doctors.
This is about the family?
About our generation, parents' generation, their parents' generation, their parents' generation.
Six generations
Yeah.
or five generations? 6 generations.
Oh, I think he tried to bring in his, he found 100 cases.
So American
Or I don't remember how many cases. The dean of the medical school was this Marcus Rosenwasser. He was an obstetrician and had studied how many cases? I've forgotten.
He said 12.
Now, Rosenwasser was who?
Rosenwasser was your
Great
uncle.
Great uncle.
Well, wasn't he Edward Rosewater's brother?
Yeah, so he was your great uncle.
And he studied in
Vienna, probably.
Prague.
yeah.
And his brother put him through medical school.
Yes. His older brother.
Yeah.
That's what David was telling me last night.
Who was a telegrapher during the Civil War, and was one of the telegraphers that sent out the Emancipation Proclamation.
Really?
And then he started a newspaper, the Omaha Bee, or had it been, yeah, he started that.
He went west in a covered wagon. So
Yeah.
from the time of the covered wagon to jet set.
So, but the brother here, the one who became the dean, kept his name. He didn't Americanize
He didn't
it.
Americanize it. And he worked
And he was
with,
here at Reserve, at the one who was at Ohio Wesleyan, or was
yeah,
it?
was the beginning of
I
the
see.
research. Several medical schools joined together.
Right, right. And Herman had a chance to read
Cryle
this?
was one of his friends. Cryle Senior
Right.
was in that group of
Okay,
teachers
okay.
at the medical school at that time.
Okay, guys, so I can pick up the generations from
Yeah.
Well, have you read the manuscript?
Parts of it.
Dad read it.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
It's part of the piano.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not allowed to read that? She might leak. She might leak
I
some
won't
of
say
the.
a word.
I read it.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
I started to cry.
Compare, OB at that time with OB.
What,
But their results then were pretty good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He had
Without
some.
any.
They didn't keep the cases where the results weren't good.
Well, maybe not.
they didn't write those up. Right.
Those are the outliers.
Right, right.
You think there were only 12,000 patients. There were really another 25,000 that had been destroyed.
Well, death at childbirth.
Yeah.
Because many families, I know in our, when we look back through our, there were second wives, more kids, because the
Well, your
original
grandmother,
mother,
grandmother died.
yeah. So lots of
Your
remarriages.
grandmother and Dad's grandmother, Rebecca Liger, Rebecca Soloveitchik Liger, died.
In child.
I think so.
That's what he said, yeah.
Yeah.
26 years old or
Yeah.
something.
No, she must have been a little bit older than that. Or was Celia was that Nana's mother that was maybe there was Nellie, Rosewater, Elgutter, who she was probably about, no, she was about 21 or 22.
She was just back from Cooper Union.
Yeah, she was in her early 20s.
Back from art school.
And but my father's grandmother must have been a little bit older because his mother was 16 when her mother died, and or maybe she was a little bit younger than that even. But her father remarried a woman who was a young girl who was her contemporary. And they didn't get along. And she left. She ran away from home and came to America. So stepmother was her contemporary. You want something to drink, Tom?
But talking about that, with all the physicians in the family, discussing, why people go into medicine, or, why did you decide to go into medicine? So many doctors' families, like my son Josh, really, I don't think he's interested in going to medical school, and I'm not pushing him to do it.
But where is he in college?
At the University of Michigan.
He's a sophomore?
He'll be a sophomore, and he's taking courses that'll give him the flexibility to go either way, but he's not really, gee, I want to be a doctor. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's the dean at Temple now, Alan Myers, and he has 3 children, none of whom are physicians. We're discussing, is it because, Josh worked at the hospital for a month 2 summers ago, and I said, what was it like, seeing Dad as a doctor? He said, Dad, so all you do is sit at the phone all day and answer phone calls and, deal with secretaries and dictate and things. And, is it a difference in terms of what you see at home or what you talk about? When doctors were doctors 50 years ago and they came home and they talked about Mrs. Jones did this, or they got called out in the middle of the night, I might as well be a stockbroker for all that the children get out of what it is to be a physician. I mean, they don't see me as really saving lives and stamping out disease. I mean, do you see it as where did you get your...
But they didn't see you teaching a patient at their bedside or something like that. So maybe if they saw that part.
No, but they might have. Yeah. Did you do that with your dad? Or?
Well, I was in the operating room with him a bunch of times, and he told me there's only one crucial rule when you're in the operating room. When you faint, fall backwards, not forward.
And that's why you decided not to pursue a career in medicine.
Because I felt like I was going to fall forward. Actually, the funniest story was he had me working on the Shaker Heights study in school kids and stuff like that, and I was drawing bloods, phlebotomists.
Right.
How old was that? Maybe 15 or 16 years old, I think.
About 15, big enough to still
16.
down and draw my
16. And so anyways, it came down to, I drew all the bloods, and then it came down to my dad said, well, why don't you practice on Danny and Susie before you were going to draw bloods? And so I drew Susie, and everything went okay, and then I was drawing Danny. And Danny fainted like a log. He was out like a log.
The prelude was to chase my rat. Came back with a big meal.
It's a rapid punch to the groin.
And my dad's reaction was, I said, Dan, why'd you faint? He goes, well, the sight of blood. He says, it's my own. It makes me faint. And my dad says, oh, he's going to be a surgeon. Remember that, Danny?
That was a big needle.
That big. We got out the horse needle just for you, Dan.
Dan, how are you enjoying it down in Jacksonville?
Oh, you're probably feeling some of the same types of pressures around the university. Career is starting to become more of a job. The bottom line is more important than what you deliver. And the measure of the product is patient satisfaction, not with what you do. Do you get too many complaints, the patient's waiting line, waiting room? How quickly can you process them? Can you send them through the checkout line like they do at Sam's Warehouse? Or can you give them what they really need? There's sort of a mixed message coming out of Mayo, what they want. The foundation would like to keep their $1.5 million are going to go up against groups of larger size, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 physician groups who are going to be outcome oriented. They're not going to hold hands, they're not going to order many tests. They're going to say, you have a headache, it's a headache, don't worry about
And
it.
if you're getting per capita payment, you're getting $1,000 a person.
Capitation will destroy the clinic. They're not efficient. Not at all. It's the last thing that they would be good at.
Really? You know, because I spent 4 years there, and they were fairly efficient at Rochester. I think it may be different at Jacksonville.
They're efficient at handling patients, but the gear is toward diagnosis. And every neurologist I talk to, every internist I talk to, he talks about spending an hour and a half with a patient, which is silly.
Right.
I think that's really silly. I mean, it's nice to do that, but 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, you're wasting your time. Somebody should interact with the patient, and they need hand-holding, get a warm individual, male or female, who can relate to patients and maybe take the history or maybe interact with the patients and hold hands a little bit. And then who's ever going to make the decision that way, but not spending an hour and a half. Because it's not going to be a viable product. They're cutting surgeons' fees, and surgeons' fees ran Mayo Clinic. They can basically give the other care away free. And they're cutting the salaries down, not the salaries, cutting the reimbursements down. And it's going to be necessary for some of the lesser productive groups to become more productive. So they're going to have to turn that little wrench faster and answer volume. The CEO at Jacksonville talks about volume. He talks about putting people through the system, putting meat into the grinder. You have to get it going. You have to get it through. Whether it means staying open later, or working Saturdays, or having some other flexibilities, or going to electronic medical record, it's going to be volume. And you're going up against people who are very good at volume because they don't give the carriage trade, hand-holding medicine that Mayo is used to. And so it's a real dichotomy. Is it going to stay alive, support from the foundation, and not deliver a viable product? Or is it going to be bottom rung, acceptable medicine, acceptable by practice guidelines, acceptable by HCFA or Medicare, whatever it might be? So I think that there's a great deal of tumultuousness right now. They're trying to feel where they belong.
I think it's probably happening in medicine in general, though, that the pressure is there to compete and to grind out quality product for the cheapest price, and at a certain point quality has to suffer because you can't keep underbidding without cutting the corner somewhere.
The last final analysis is that time equals money.
Yeah.
So you have to spend less time.
Until you say that this is the place where you can't squeeze this anymore, and you have to, as professionals,
Technology has
set
to
those
replace
guidelines.
some of the human element too.
Sure. Or you get people who are just nice people and who don't have big education suitcases in their back pocket that they have to.
Or what you do is you do.
You see all these sort of like visit. I mean, we go to a family medicine practice, which has sort of expanded like tenfold in the last 7 years. But you never see doctors anymore. You see these physicians.
Well, the other thing is you really get poor medicine. I give enough lectures or do enough teaching in smaller communities, and some of the medicine is very good, but most of it is. I mean, you sit there and it's frightening to think that somebody's actually getting medical care in that community and what they get. And a lot of
doctors are from these nurse practitioners.
Physicians. And where they, for example, they'll do all the I know best about rheumatology, obviously, but they'll take care of all the patients with arthritis, and they don't really have the faintest idea what they're doing. And if it doesn't work, we'll try this. If it doesn't work, we'll try this. So the cost is really much higher. They may charge less for an office visit than I do, but it may take them 20 office visits to finally, sort of luck on, what they want to do. And they're out to the reason that Clinton's doing what he's doing is because they're really milking the system. I was talking to one physician who was a family practitioner, and he would just trim calluses, and he would call that that was surgical removal of a hyperkeratotic lesion. You know, it was $85, you know, for 3 seconds of cutting down a callus. And he was proud of how he had, you know, sort of, you know, gone through a different code to do this.
Don't you think that
picking a scale.
with the use of computers, that things like taking medical history and stuff like that, that you can get 90% of it on a self?
I find I do a lot better when I do it myself. You know, it's the nuances you pick up, the question you wouldn't have, it's like being in the lab. You know, you can have a PhD doing work for you all day long, and you're not going to do the same kind of research that you are if you're in the lab doing it yourself. And I know it because I'm not there doing it, and I know that I miss things that they're not going to pick up that, you know, you're thinking about the same way. You know, the fellow takes the history and you read, oh yeah, fine, and you really don't ask that extra question where you don't see the patient walk and say, gee, how long has this been bothering you?
Well, it becomes a fact what he's written down, but when you hear it, you hear questions in the voice or something.
Exactly. A headache is, that's why I don't do well on CPC, because it's too cold, it's too sterile. You know, somebody said they have a headache and a rash. Headache can be any of 12 different things. Somebody says, I have this terrible headache, it's sore over here. It's different than I have this terrible headache and it's just like a pressure around my head. And if you don't ask the right question, you're going to do it.
It's sort of you'd like to think it would work, but I know one pediatric group that does that, and because they're scheduled for a new patient every 15 minutes, they don't ask questions beyond unless the patient writes down that they have questions. It's sort of like what I don't know that you want to know, I'm not going to ask you. So.
The fortunate thing is most people survive even without the extra.
Despite medicine.
Despite not asking the questions, knowing about it.
What was it my dad used to always say, that when there was the strike of physicians and
more people, the death rate goes down.
in Israel, wasn't it? I think that was a famous.
That's right, the death rate goes down. Because fewer people go in the hospital, there's fewer surgery.
Well, these were
particular
in his particular medical school class.
The
group
class
that
itself.
used to go to different classes, you know, Metro and City Hospital and Charity Hospital. You know, you used to do it, George. You travel by car. Usually one person had a car, and everybody, 5 or 6 people would go together. Nobody else had a car, but in those days anyway.
Well, he used to tell the story about when he was going, and they never wanted him to drive because they'd be in a conversation. He'd be driving.
I believe that.
You'd be forgetting that he was driving. And then the other part is he didn't want any of his patients to know this, but there was this pie place down on, what was it, Carnegie or Chester?
Carnegie. Called
Royal Real. And he said, no kidding, he said the pies were this hot. And they had a deal going where they'd buy day-old pies. Seconds, and eat it in the car going over to the hospital.
Pecan.
And then I think he liked banana cream.
You're pretty wet, Jonah.
That's not.
Did you have an accident, Jonah?
Did he watch his dialogue?
Pardon?
Did he watch his dialogue?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got lectures at the family gathering.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What about the visible and invisible eggs?
My neck.
Who's using butter and who's using margarine and
Skim milk.
yeah.
1%. I don't think they had 1% at that time. They just had skim or regular.
Powdered milk.
But it came up
2%.
every time we got together.
Well, my mother wrote the cookbook, Gourmet Cooking for the Cardiac Diet, 1950s.
Yeah, with my father.
Right.
And it was good. Yeah, the recipes still pretty good, even if you want to. Some of them were using lanolin. In those days, they put them on very low salt diets because that's all they had to control blood pressure. They didn't have all the
I haven't heard that
medication. The lanolin.
Yeah.
So a lot of her recipes use lanolin.
What was that? Like
It's a very low salt milk.
Oh,
So
milk.
if you added milk to a recipe, you didn't use regular milk, you used lamb milk, if it was a low salt.
Come on, Rebecca and Jonah, let's go. Oh, Jonah, no!
But,
For the thiazide drugs.
Right.
I can remember when they came out.
you could still take the recipes and make them more
Yeah.
modern ingredients.
Diureal and hydrodiureal.
When did you finish medical school? When did you?
1950.
You must have it.
The cookbook?
Kendall and Hinch came
I mean, Cortisone 49.
and spoke to us.
Is that right?
On our 83.
Right. Well, I was thinking, you talk about, having medications, because I remember when I was in medical school, we had about 8 drugs. You had mercurochrome, digitalis leaf, you had aminophylline, rectal ether for asthma attacks, nothing.
Wait a minute.
That sounds like that was real pleasant to administer.
What is it, take a deep breath?
Nobody goes to sleep. Somebody, status asthmaticus, you give them Saudi tubes, and
You wouldn't want to have
those are the days.
And it would be a pain in the you-know-what.
You wouldn't want to have a lot of things in those days.
Days of
Leeches, we still use leeches back in those days.
poultices, flaxseed poultices.
Right. Saudi tubes, you put tubes in, draw the fluid out.
Well, nothing like a good bloodletting to give you a little energy.
That's right,
in the morning.
that's right. Tourniquets.
Actually, they're using this for plastic surgery, flaps and things, leeches.
That's right, it keeps them clean, yeah.
Uh-huh.
To keep them- to degree them,
leeches.
yeah.
Medical
Is
issues.
that,
You put the medical in front of the
Right, it costs a lot more, Sterile medical leeches.
They call it therapeutic phlebotomy.
But aren't they
That's
using,
right.
aren't they using all sorts of animal products, pig skin for the heart valves and
Oh, yeah.
all that sort of stuff, and synthetic animal arteries that they've stripped? And I thought they had a process where they took arteries out of pigs and then put it through some sort
These
of
valves,
process.
like these vessels, Teflon or plastic vortex.
To an old Polish pediatrician who had a bad hip and as a child, so she escaped from the Nazis so many years ago, had an artificial hip from a cow inserted. You ever heard of that?
No.
And was not doing all that well, but it was many years later. She'd survived many years anyway.
Get a milk
She hobbled around, but she'd survived
I
for
think it
many,
wouldn't have
many
been a bad
years.
idea. In those days
Something.
before you had, prostheses,
I don't know why they...
Well, cows are heavy, so I
Of course,
a lot of weight.
Yeah.
When she heard the big bell, she always went towards the barn.
Right.
Well, it'll be, hard to get used to them not being there. When do you go back?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Did you get your ticket?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
What time do you go?
12:30.
Hey, George, you're going, what time do you go?
12:30 tomorrow.
It's a big group.
Where's Susie going?
When are you going there?
8:15,
I'm
8:13.
popular time, great.
Yes, I'm unique.
Right. Where do you go back to?
I'm going to Boston. I was on Cape Cod on vacation and flew
She was
from-
part of the Clinton delegation.
I was going to say, actually, Clinton is up there now. Yeah, right.
Well, my sister actually is an emergency room nurse on Martha's Vineyard, so
If you strain,
hopefully, yeah, if there's any problem,
Chelsea gets
They'll
sick.
get called.
Chelsea
Yeah.
gets sick.
for a splinter.
Yeah, right.
Or if Bill pulls a muscle
Doesn't he
playing
take his
golf.
doctor with him? He probably does.
What's her dog's
She
name?
said they hadn't sent any blood.
Oh, really?
I thought that they did that
Automatic.
routinely to
Stop.
the hospital.
What do they do,
It's
drop
not.
blood off every month and so it just...
If Sock scratches Chelsea, then they'll end up in the emergency room.
Yeah.
Cat scratch fever.
But anyway, so I fly back to Boston and then I live in
Never
Providence.
saw any cat scratch fever.
What?
I said I never saw any cat scratch fever. I read about it, heard about it.
I had a
Look
few,
for it.
otherwise I wouldn't have known about it. It's a long time.
So they don't have.
I saw a lot of tick-borne
Yes, but I wasn't in Providence.
From,
I was on Cape
Cod
Cod.
fever,
Did you?
No, but you can, if you fly from Boston, you fly
The
back to
BCOsis,
Boston,
I had
right?
never heard of it about 2 years ago, so they put it up as a CPC at the
Right.
medical meeting. Yeah, with people with anemia and fever.
Yeah, the spleen
I don't
nectar.
know.
Oh, you don't know?
No, Ronnie's
Part of it
he's
is
driving, it's
history.
only an hour. He's driving up from Providence, and then we drive back down.
That's
to
silicosis.
Well, there wasn't any good sleep.
coming
Maybe
tomorrow.
there's now.
It was just total
Yeah,
coincidence.
right.
I haven't seen her in a year, but this is it.
Well,
So
I'm
she
going
said pick
to-
her up in New Bedford.
Excuse me, that you folks,
There's a ferry from Martha's Vineyard that goes
Peter,
there.
I'm sure will be
It's closer than
calling
if
to
I would
say
have to
hello
drive
and
back
once
to
you
New
gotta get
Cape.
back on
New Bedford is like you down
Thank you.
Beauty.
half an hour
Events, right.
from Providence.
David, my sympathies. We're very proud of your dad, obviously.
Thank you very much for stopping.
Oh,
Tuning us in.
So tomorrow's a busy day.
Thank you. Now, when I tell you.
Here it is.
Son,
Here it is. He was
sophomore
on
at
it.
Michigan,
See?
Ann Arbor.
I was looking around, I thought maybe I was.
Yiddish course, language or literature translation. Good
making it or not.
teachers in the English department.
You were
Is
pretty
that right?
concerned,
Nina
so.
Norwich. She's wonderful.
What is
She'll
it?
be a great.
He dropped a quarter. That's one of those little obsessive things that.
You can read Hebrew,
Well, it's like a habit of one you really care about.
Right, that quarter meant something those days.
Amazing, he loves these,
Five days are.
you know,
They're great teachers.
Well, I hate to even pick up the change, you know, if someone is giving me change, I'm like,
Profit.
why bother?
Bye-bye, thank you.
Let them-
oh, take care, yeah,
A
take
lot.
care. I'll be in touch. All right.
Where's your pocket?
The things that.
You can read Hebrew,
Well, it's like a habit of one you really care about.
Right, that quarter meant something those days.
Amazing, he loves these,
Five days are.
you know,
They're great teachers.
Well, I hate to even pick up the change, you know, if someone is giving me change, I'm like,
Profit.
why bother?
Bye-bye, thank you.
Let them-
oh, take care, yeah,
A
take
lot.
care. I'll be in touch. All right.
Where's your pocket?